welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the holiday items from Hourglass. I've picked up two of their holiday releases, so I have the lip kit and I have the blush quad. So we're going to take a look at those. I've also crunched some numbers, although math is not my strong suit. Let me just put that out there, so there could be errors. But I think I've got a fairly good breakdown in terms of what the overall value of these items are. Before we dive into the items that I did pick up though, let's take a look quickly at the other items that I did not, just so that you have an idea of what is available. So there is a 6-pan face palette. Now they're calling this sort of like the Ghost something or other, as well as the quad that I picked up. So it just says Ghost. I don't know really where that came from. This doesn't look holiday, like Halloween inspired, so I'm not sure where Ghost is coming from. I think it's alluding to the like clear, translucent packaging. We'll get into that, but regardless, Ghost. So the 6-pan palette retails for $105 Canadian here on the Sephora website, and for that you are getting 6 pans that are 1.4 grams of powder each. There are 3 ambient lighting powders. One is in dim light, the other is diffused light, and then there's iridescent strobe light. You're also getting 2 blushes. So the strobe lighting blush in iridescent rose, and then the ambient lighting blush in sublime flush. And finally, there's also a bronzer, which is in the shade Eternal Bronze Light. Overall, it does look like a very pretty and very useful palette. However, the price point just made me kind of gag a little, so I left it at the store. Also, I have had a mini of dim light powder before, and I knew I'd never use that one, so then I'm paying $105 for 5 shades, and I didn't want to do that. Now, moving over to their eye set, they have a scattered light glitter eyeshadow holiday trio. Not called Ghost, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with the naming of these products, but regardless, it is a trio. It retails for $60. As far as I can tell, 2 of the shades already exist, and one of them is unique to this collection. I really hemmed and hawed, but because I had already bought 2 of the other items, I opted not to get these. I do have 1, possibly 2, one of these. I think I just have one of these scattered light eyeshadows, and I really do like it. It's not as intense as, say, the Tarte Chrome paints, but it does add some sparkle to the eyes. It does last well all throughout the day, and they're just a really nice and easy product to use, which helps you sort of feel more polished and put together without spending a ton of time doing it. All right, so that wraps it up for the items that I didn't pick up in their holiday release, and then we can turn our focus to the ones that I did. So again, there is the quad, and then there is the lip duo. I'll talk about this one last. The quad over here contains 4 pans that are 1.4 grams each, so the same size as what's in the face palette. Again, this contains that name of Ghost, and the only thing I can think is that it has to do with the translucent packaging. So there is their classic mirrored cover. The only problem with the mirrored cover is that it shows every fingerprint, like everything just shows up in full blast on this. I'm not a fan of the plastic. I'm really not. I don't think that it looks on brand. I don't think that it looks particularly classy. I am just not a fan of this plastic. I just don't like it. The colors on the inside, however, are beautiful, so I can get past the weird packaging because I like the powders that are in there. All right, before we get into swatches and applying it on my cheeks, let's break the numbers down a little bit, and my God, I hope that I am correct in my math, otherwise this is going to be really embarrassing. Okay, 4 pans of 1.4 grams each equals 5.6 grams total of product. This retails for $75 Canadian on the Sephora website. To put it into perspective, if you buy one of their full-size blushes, ambient lighting powders, their bronzers, whatever, those are $52 Canadian, and they contain 4.25 grams of product. So breaking it down to cost per gram, the full-sized regular products are $12 per gram. This palette here is $13 a gram. If you get the 6-pan face palette, that works out to $12.50 per gram. So overall, while in the past I've often thought that these are just a crappy value because you're getting so little product, when you actually look at the total amount of product and then break it down in that way, you're really not paying much more for this than you are for a single full-size pan. So $13 per gram as opposed to $12, that doesn't ruffle my feathers. The worst value though are the regular mini-sized ones that they sell on the Sephora website, because those contain 1.3 grams of product, so less than one of these pans, and they retail for $32. Breaking that down for the price per gram, it's $24.60 a gram. So those minis, not a great deal. Moving along, let's take a look in here because there are two that are more matte kind of finish and then two that are more radiant. So if we look at it in this way, and you'll have to forgive my daughter, I caught her using this as I was coming into film, and she's not the most gentle of makeup users, so there is dust all throughout it. Regardless, let's bring it in a little bit closer. So this one is a blush in the shade Surreal Effect. Next to it over here is a strobe blush in Brilliant Nude. If I move down here, that is also a blush in Infinite Flush. And then finally in this corner over here, it is another strobe blush in Lucid Glow. All right, so again, this is blush. This is Surreal Effect, Brilliant Nude, Lucid Glow, and Infinite Flush over here. And I have to say, there's a good range of colors in here. Like sometimes with these palettes, I find that at least two of the powders just really kind of look interchangeable. And that's not the situation here. You've got a good range of colors to work with, and each of them brings something different and unique to the table. So I appreciate that. All right, so what I'm going to use on my face, I'm going to use this blush down here. Again, that's Infinite Flush. And then I'm going to use this one up here, which is Brilliant Nude. And I don't find that you have to pick up a ton of product on the brush for it to show up on your face. These, like I said, have a really good amount of pigmentation in them, particularly the blushes. The highlighter we'll get into. But I really like this blush because it looks very, very natural on the skin. Like, it just gives a really realistic looking flush to the skin, and I just love that. Love it. So there is the blush, and now if I can find a highlighting brush. My brushes are dirty. So I'm going to use this one for highlighting. This is from Shop Miss A. It's not one that I would typically use, but it'll work. All right, so again, I'm going to go into this one up here. Now, I had said before when I was talking about pigmentation, that the blushes in particular are quite pigmented. And that is because I find this highlighter to be incredibly subtle. It does add a little bit of luminosity, but it's certainly not blinding. It's certainly not obvious about it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that I think is worth mentioning in case you're expecting this to be like a wham in your face kind of highlight. It really is not. It makes it really great for like office wear, or if you have one of those jobs where like makeup needs to be a little bit more conservative, or if that's just your jam and you don't really like the metallic kind of highlighting, this would be right up your alley, because as you can see, it does catch the light, but it's not like overwhelming in its highlightiness. So I think that's going to come down to personal preference. For me, I would prefer if it had a little bit more kick to it, but having said that, I still get use out of it, particularly on days where I have a lot of meetings or I'm in court or something like that. Not that I'm opposed to wearing a stronger highlight to those kind of settings, but I do like this one for that in particular. So at any rate, there are blush and highlighter on. I am happy with this. Subtle blush notwithstanding, I am happy with this. This blush here does have a bit of radiance to it, so you could use it as like a blush topper, you could use it as a more shimmery blush, or if you like the idea of a pinker highlight, you could use that as well. And the other two blushes are much more matte in their presentation. So again, I think there's something for everyone. I think it is very versatile. And like I said, I think the value is there as well. So overall, I am happy with this purchase. All right, so now moving into the lip duo. So these are their Confession refillable lipsticks. So you get one full lipstick and then you get the replacement cartridge over here. And I've always thought that these just look so classy. Like, not that I'm a smoker and not that I would ever, you know, want to glorify smoking, but it looks like one of those like fancy like cigarette holders, but it's a lipstick. And I do like that it's interchangeable. So you can just take the cartridge right out, pop the other one in, and away you go. I just gouged the edge of the lipstick with the lid. So there's that. All right, going into price, so I can break this one down as well. This kit costs $48 Canadian. If you're to buy just one of these alone from the website, it is $48 just for the single. If you just buy the cartridge, because you already have the holder, the cartridge is $29.50 Canadian. So combined, the value that you're getting here is $77.50 for the cost of $48. So if you are looking to maximize your value for dollar in terms of the Hourglass holiday collections, this is the one to go for because you're getting the most bang for your buck. Okay, so math done. Let's get into the swatches. You don't have a choice in the colors, so it comes prepackaged with 2 shades and they don't have multiple kits available for you to choose from. In this kit, you get a nude shade and then a deeper red as well, so it is rather universal in terms of the shades that they've selected. So the one that I have loaded in here now is the darker red, and that is in the shade You Inspire. I guess I could have just looked because it is printed. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. It is printed along the edge there. And then they just twist up. And they're nice and precise. And they'll keep their shape because the metal itself is slanted, so the lipstick within will also keep its shape. All right, I will go ahead and apply that and then come right back. All right, and there is the shade You Inspire. It's a beautiful deep red. It's got like a hint of purple to it, so it's a bit more on the burgundy side. It keeps the teeth looking nice and white. The formula, very comfortable. I would recommend though using a lip liner with this. I do, despite how precise and how small the actual bullet is, I do have some difficulty making the edges quite smooth. So a lip liner I think would go a long way with this one, especially because it's darker, it's more noticeable, but it is a very comfortable formula. I haven't found it to be very drying. I haven't found that it feathers. It doesn't really transfer onto my teeth. It doesn't last forever. It doesn't claim to. It is a typical bullet lipstick, but it is very comfortable. It has sort of a satin finish, so it's not quite matte, but it's not quite glossy or shiny. It's just a nice satin finish, as I said. Overall, it is a color that I could see myself getting a ton of use out of in the wintertime. Okay, now it's time for I Cherish. Okay, so to change them, it's quite easy. The lid comes off. I can't pull the cartridge out without pulling the lid off. It just lifts up. You don't have to twist it, you don't have to yank on it, it just lifts up. And then the only thing is, okay, It took me a little while to learn about this. So if I just put that lid back on, it just falls right off. So I put the two of them down. Take the bottom off of the other cartridge. So this one comes like a little holder basically in two pieces. That can go back in. Again, it just clicks into place. You hear it click, so you know it's nice and secure. And then the other cartridge then goes back into this casing, and again it clicks. So the lid that was on the darker one, now, if I turn it the right way, oh my, I'm a disaster today. Turn it the right way, it sits back on here. The only problem with this is because I nicked the darker one, you might be able to see that there are little like smears of the darker lipstick in there, and I'm not entirely sure how I'd go about cleaning that. So there's that. Okay, time to take this one off, put this one on, and then wrap this up. And there is the shade I Cherish. I love it. I think it's a perfect nude shade. It's got a little bit of warmth to it, so it doesn't look ashy or gray, anything like that. It's got enough density in the color for my skin tone at any rate that it doesn't like give me dead lips. I really like it. I find that this one is far easier to work with than the darker one, again, because it's just not so obvious if those edges aren't so like completely smooth. But again, it's got the same feel on the lips, very, very comfortable, very creamy. It feels luxurious, like this has a good amount of weight to it for the size that it is. And the cartridges are the same size as their regular line, so if you buy any of their regular lines, it'll pop into this holder as well. I think their regular holders are gold in color and this one's silver, so I think that's where the distinction is, but they're interchangeable. They can be used regardless. Okay, so there we have it. Those are the two items from the holiday collection that I picked up. If you've picked up the face palette, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, or the scattered light shadows. What are your thoughts on the packaging? All of that kind of thing. Just weigh in with your thoughts, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.